If you're looking to enhance your scenes inside CreateStudio 3 and animate doors and have them open or close so you can get characters enter and exit the scene, well, that's exactly what we're going to learn in this tutorial. Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Ali, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to easily animate doors, make them open or close. I'm going to show you my techniques and proper way to use the 3D rotation and the distortion feature. And before we dive deeper into this, I've got an example. Let's have a watch and then come back, start creating.
Don't worry, sweetie, I won't forget. I love you.
Love you too, honey. Ah, you forgot to close the door again.
I hope you enjoyed the sample. Now, this will be a great inspiration for those who want to take their videos to the next level and create engaging videos to captivate their audience. And so I'm going to teach you a lot of techniques in this video. So instead of creating the typical or standard videos that you would normally do, I'm going to show you how to make engaging scenes so you can have characters interact with different rooms and they can enter and exit the room and really just create captivating visuals to your viewers. And by the way, I wanted to highlight that I'm going to leave a link in the description below for all the media files that I'm going to use in this project so you can easily follow along with me. And I've got some great news for those who don't know that if you check the main folder of my Google Drive folder, you're going to find a ton of freebies right there that you take advantage of, and it's all free, right? You have animated stickers, backgrounds and graphics, editable logo templates, and then I have free projects. So this is the subfolder where I keep my giveaway projects that you can access and take it and work with it as your own, right? And be sure to check them out. And you have a ton of props and giveaways in this folder. So just go to the main folder and then you should be able to find all those subfolders and start downloading all the stuff in there and have fun creating. Now, let's get back into creating and show you how you can easily animate doors. So in this video, I have 3 examples that I want to share with you. This is going to be the first one that we're going to use and animate the door and make that open or close. I also have another example where we're going to use this background. It has 2 doors in there that we can animate and make them both open and close again. And then finally, the last background will be one of the backgrounds available in the studio. I'm going to show you how to get that and work with it. But let's just start with the first one and then take it from there. So this is our first example that we're going to work with. And it's so easy, by the way, to animate doors. It just depends on when do you want that to happen. So you're going to start with your background, and you got to make sure that your door is a separate image. And then you have a transparency underneath that door. Why? Because this is how you can add other backgrounds to exteriors where you can have characters enter and exit rooms easily. So once you have that covered, all you got to do is start animating the door. And so what we're going to do in this one is simply decide on when do we want that to happen and make sure that we have our door selected. And our first step is to start by adding some keyframes. So we need to click on add animation, and then we're going to choose 3 properties. Those are going to be position, rotation, and distortion. Easing is going to be soft for both in and out. And then all I want to do is simply click on the second keyframe, and I'm going to go back to my settings, find where it says properties, click that, and then here is where the magic happens. So the first thing we want to do is we want to change the 3D rotation on the Y axis. And for this one, we're going to do change the 3D Y rotation value from 0 to 48%. And this is how it's going to look like. Once you do that, this is just the beginning. And then what you want to do next is drag the door to the left side like this. Make sure it's lined up with the image from the right side, just like that. And last thing we want to do is click on the distortion icon that shows above the door as our first icon right there. Just click it, and then now is the time to start distorting the door, make it fit. So we're going to drag it from any of the corners. We just need to drag it from the top right and the bottom right as well. So I'm going to drag it just to make sure it is a fit right there, like this. And then do the same thing for the other one, just like that. And that's pretty much it. So we just go back, and there you go. press play, and this is how the door opens. So if you want the door to open more than that, that's totally fine. You can still select the second keyframe of your door and then go back to properties, click on that, and then you can increase the value on the 3D Y rotation like that. But make sure when that is done, you just drag your door back to the right side, just like this. And then you may want to click on the distortion feature again, just to make sure that the door is still fit and distorted exactly in the right or the proper way to make it look like that. So this is how you can easily animate the door. Now let's say I want to go ahead and close it back again. Again, I can decide when do I want that to happen by moving my playhead or advancing it forward in the timeline, and simply select my door, click on add animation, and I'll do the same thing. Easing would still be soft on both in and out. Properties is going to be position, rotation, and distortion again. Next, we want to select our second keyframe, and then we want to go to properties under settings, and then change the value on the 3D rotation Y from 66. We're going to make it 0 so that it goes like this, and simply drag the door just like that back into the position, and simply click on the distortion feature again, just so we can drag and make sure that the door goes into its position pretty much closed up, just like that. Perfectly fine. Now if I go back from the beginning, press play, this is how it's going to look like, and this is how you can animate the door and make it close. So that will be our first example. Now, if you want to take your animation to the next level and add some depth to the door while the door is open, because you can see the edges of our door is sharp. So if you want to do that, this is going to be a great tip that I'm going to share with you, but I can do this on the other example. Let's just show you how you can easily do that. So let's go on and start working with this background where we have two doors that we'd like to open. And so I've got my left door, and then I've got my right door on there, right? This one is part of the image, so I did not, I did not extract that door image, but feel free if you want to do that. You can use any photo editing tools like Photoshop or similar applications that enables you to cut out the door from the image and leave the, its placeholder as a transparent, so that you can make characters interact with your background. Next, now it's time to start working with this background. So we have two doors, like I said. The first one is on the one on the left side. We're going to click on add animation. Again, I'm going to do position, rotation, and I want to do a distortion. Easing is going to be soft for both in and out. And now I'm going to select my second keyframe. Next, I'm going to go to settings and then find where it says properties. Click that, and then we're going to start making changes on the 3D rotation on the Y axis. So for this one, we're going to change the value from 0 to -78, just like this. And then we can just take it back to the left side, make sure it is lined up with our image from the left side like this, and simply just click on the distortion icon above the image and make sure that you drag it from the top left and the bottom left as well to distort the door and make it look right, just like this. And we're good to go. Now, if I go back, the door is closed, and then the door is going to open. So if you want to, you can do this by just opening one of the doors, which is up to you. But if you want to open both at the same time, say you have something bigger, like or a chubby character that's entering the room and requires more space, well, that's something you can do as well. Since we have a separate image for the second door, we can easily do that. How? We just need to go back to the first keyframe of our first door on the left side and select our second door and do the same thing. We're going to click on add animation above the timeline. Easing is going to be soft for both in and out. Properties will be position, rotation, and distortion. Next, we want to select our second keyframe on the image and then go to settings, find where it says properties, click that. And again, same thing, we're going to change the 3D rotation on the Y axis. So we're going to change the value from 0 to 78. Like this, and now we have our second door open. We just need to drag it and make sure it is lined up with the right side of our image like this. And once it's done, we can click on the distortion feature to distort the image from the top right and the bottom right. So we're going to drag it from the top right like this, make sure it is a fit right there, and then do the bottom right like that, and we're good to go. Now we have both, closed, and then they will just open just like that. This is how easy you can animate doors inside CreateStudio 3. Again, if you want to go ahead and close those doors, you just follow the same instruction, just like you did with the first example, by adding 2 more keyframes for both images in order to make that door close. So this is really up to you in your creation. Depends on when you want the door to open or close back again. On the third example that I have for you, this is going to be an image that's already available in the studio. So you don't need a link for it. You can actually get it from backgrounds available in the studio by going into the studio right there and then click on backgrounds, and then you can simply just type in either door or house like this. And let's just see, actually I would rather just type in door because you would easily just find it that way. And this is the image right there. It's called house. You just drag and drop it, and this is what it looks like. So this is basically an interior of the room. So you can see that this is a group of layers, which means that we have multiple layers to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and then ungroup this, right? Because all I need the door image separate or apart from the group of images, right? And the first thing I want to do is I notice that there's a gap on top of the door, right? If you look at around the editor, we have some emptiness on the top and above the door and at the bottom of it. So we need to crop the frame and make sure that the frame is about the same size of our door. How can we easily do this? We simply double click the image of our door, and then we can drag the frame around it just like this to make sure it is a perfect fit where there's almost no emptiness around the door. Why? Because this makes it a lot easier when editing. Not just that, but you can actually crop images that way by double clicking the image to get you in the editor mode, and that allows you to crop images. So you don't need a cropping tool. It's there for you just by double clicking the image once you have it on the canvas. When done, what you want to do is select or click somewhere else outside the window, and there you have it. Now you'll notice that our frame around the door of the editor is just about the same size of our door. That makes it a lot easier for us. Next, I want to select all other layers except the door. So I'm going to select everything else just like that, and then the seat that's right there, and then I want to right click and then group these guys together, and then I can bring my group underneath the door that way. Now, here's my tip where I want to show you how to add some depth to the scene or to the door when you open it up. Because normally when you open the door, it's just going to show you a sharp image from the edges of the door. So in order to do that, what we want to do is simply add a rectangle shape. And so I can do that by hitting the Shift key and the letter R. So I can add a rectangle, and then it's time to resize this guy like this. And I just want to make sure that it's going to be the right edge of the door like that. I want to make sure it's the same size vertically like that. Let's just make sure it is vertically lined up from the top and bottom as well, just like this. And then you can drag it and make sure it is lined up with the door from the right side as well. And finally, just, make this a vertical line thicker, just like that. So it's not overlapping the knob of the door, just like this. And then what you want to do is you want to change this color. So we're going to change this color by going into the color settings, and we use the color picker. Then we can use this darker color right there. That will add a depth to the door when it opens up. We can even make it darker if we want to. So let's just make it a little bit darker like that, so that the depth of the door is more obvious. And then when done, you just want to drag the rectangle and make sure it starts from the beginning of the door layer and the timeline, and from both ends, start and finish, just like this. And once you're done, you simply want to group both together, the rounded rectangle that we created, which is the depth that we're adding to the door, as well as the door image. Right click and then group these guys, and now it is time for us to animate the door, make it open and close again. So we're going to follow the same exact instructions. How? We're going to simply click on add animation above the timeline. Properties are going to be 3. We're going to choose position, rotation, and distortion. Easing is also going to be soft for both. And by the way, why am I using soft? Because soft tends to be, the smoothest easing when it comes to opening the door and closing it. When you try it out yourself, you're going to notice the difference, and you can tell how it looks like when you animate it. When done, you want to click on the second keyframe and then simply go to the right panel, click on properties, and then this is where we're going to make our changes. So we're going to find where it says rotation on the Y axis, and I'm going to change the value from 0 to negative, let's do 75% like this. Actually, this is a lot. Let's do 48 like that. And then you can see here, right, the edge that we just created that adds depth instead of the sharp image. We can go into the group actually and just make this a little bit, thicker if we want to, like this, and then should be more obvious right there. Yep, that gives a nice edge to the door and make it, adds more depth to it, that it kind of looks like 3D, just adds to the animation and really just makes your stuff more beautiful and more realistic. You just need to keep selecting your second keyframe and drag the door to the left side just like this, and simply click on the distortion icon above the door. And we're going to need to distort it from the top left and bottom left. So we're going to drag it from the top left to edit the distortion of our image just like that, and do the same thing for the bottom as well, like this. You may want to keep just a little bit of gap, just as doors would normally look when they're opened, like this. And that's it. So we're just going to go back, press play, and there you go. Now we have a nice open door that you can have in there, and then have characters enter and exit the room. And again, if you want to go in and animate the door and make it close, just don't forget to follow the same instruction as our first example in terms of how you can close doors. So this is how easy you can animate doors inside CreateStudio 3. I hope that adds a lot to your animation skills. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.